This is the scariest sound you will hear when you live in a communist country. This is the last sound my parents heard when their fathers were taken away in the middle of the night, and they never saw their loved ones again. That's the sound of losing your freedom, the sound of always living in fear. That's my family's real life story. We escaped from Vietnam just days before Saigon fell to the communists. We were given a new life in the most generous country on earth. America saved my life. I graduated from the United States Naval Academy. I earned a master's in physics and fellowships at MIT and Harvard before the left replaced merit with racial quotas. I spent my life trying to repay my debt to America, my country, our country, with 25 years of service in Navy Special Operations, combat in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Somalia. But now our country has taken a dark turn. That's Joe Biden's Justice Department sending 24 armed agents to arrest a pro-life activist in front of his family. That's Joe Biden's IRS raiding a gun shop and seizing thousands of records from law-abiding gun owners, our names, our addresses, our social security numbers. That's Joe Biden arresting his challenger in the next election, a former president of the United States. And now a different sound. That's the sound of someone breaking into your home or business. The sound of crime destroying our cities and communities. That's how it all starts. They let criminals back on our streets. Millions of illegal immigrants pour across our border each year, including military-aged men from all over the world. And enough fentanyl to kill every man, woman, and child in this country. And the Biden family? Well, that's how it works in a dictatorship. The rules don't apply to the rulers. We are losing our country. You know it, but you also know you can't say it. We're forced to say that wrong is right. We're forced to lie. We can't let that happen. I've been all over the world. Believe me when I tell you, if America fails, there's nowhere else to go. I'm Hung Cao, retired Navy captain running for United States Senate. I still believe America can be the land of opportunity. I have an obligation to fight back against those who want to control our lives and disrupt our families. We need real fighters, not politicians, not bureaucrats, not keyboard warriors acting tough in a custom-made suit. No, not here in America. We must refuse to be intimidated. We must be fearless. I'm Hung Cao. I'm running for Senate, and I approve this message because I'm not done fighting for us.
Welcome back to the program. My guest today came to the United States in 1975, escaping Vietnam only days before the fall of Saigon. With love and respect for his new country in his heart, he served our country admirably in the U.S. Navy. A Bronze Star recipient, an expert in deep sea diving and recovery, and an explosive ordnance disposal officer. He has concluded many high-profile salvage operations, including the John F. Kennedy Jr. During his 25-year career. He is here to discuss his brand new book, Call Me an American. Please welcome retired Navy captain and Virginia Senate candidate Hung Cao. Hung, it's a pleasure to have you on the program today.
Josh, thank you so much for having me.
Good, good. So first I want to just start with a congratulations. Congratulations is certainly in order here for accomplishing the Republican nomination for the U.S. Senate in Virginia. You've got to beat Tim Kaine. I mean, that guy's an absolute disaster. We'll get into him a little bit later. But let's start first with what I would consider to be one of the most powerful ads, certainly of this election cycle. That is the ad of which you are introducing yourself to voters by pounding on a table 3 times, synonymous, with, of course, the fact of communists coming and knocking on the door, at you as you experienced growing up. If you could briefly just tell us a little bit about that experience. How old were you, and what type of memories do you have in particular from that?
Well, I was 4 years old, and with any kid, they remember images like it's flipping through a phone, a photo album, and you remember what your parents were feeling. I mean, the night before, my mom was sewing notes into our clothes, saying, "This is my son. Please take care of him in case we get separated." And at the airport, they had a fear, and we can sense it. Like, oh my gosh, what if the Americans only took 2 of our 5 kids or 3 of our 5 kids? Who do we leave behind? Like, who can take care of themselves, and how do we even come back to get them? And that's the realities of war. But through the grace of God, we made it out of the country and made it to the United States. But really, my dad was very high up in the government of South Vietnam, but is in agriculture. So there was not much to do over here. So the next work he could possibly find was in West Africa. So we picked up and moved to West Africa, and I grew up there, spending 7 years in sub-Saharan South Africa. Sub-Saharan Africa, West Africa. And at the age of 12, my parents like, well, this kid doesn't speak any English, so what do we do? And so my parents had to make another hard decision. My mom took us all back to the United States, and my dad stayed over there to work for another 15 years, in these harsh places like Niger and Chad and Cameroon, Zaire, these hard places right now. But that's what sacrifice is. We'd see him every 6 months or so. And but he wanted to make sure we had the American dream.
Well, certainly you've been able to live that American dream. And, it's so wonderful to hear success stories of people that come here, through legal means, and actually give back to their new adopted country rather than just taking from that country and, depleting its resources and getting on welfare and all that. So obviously that's a testament to yourself, of course, and to your strong family. Let's talk about your opponent briefly before we get into the book and some other stuff. I basically call Tim Kaine, the fake version of what you actually are, meaning, he speaks another language, he speaks fluent Spanish, but he's never been in the military or anything like that. You obviously probably speak, certainly another language, but you are from another country. So you are an actual, diverse candidate in that respect. He also tries to say that he has military experience, which of course he doesn't, just because he's on the Armed Services Committee. Meanwhile, you have actual real experience, well over a 25-year, successful career in the military. So I guess, you're going to have your own strategy, obviously, on how you're going to attack your opponent. But I think that is an extreme weakness for Tim Kaine, not to mention the fact that he's basically a Klingon with the Clintons for all of those years. He was their VP choice. He's been the governor. He's in the Senate now. So we've got to retire Tim Kaine. And so in my opinion, that would probably be a good strategy to go after.
Well, no, that's great. So first of all, let's talk about the primary. I won this primary in 14 minutes. I was starting a game of pool with my guys, and then one of the guys came over and said, "Hey, congratulations, you just won." I'm like, no, I still got an 8-ball to take out, man. Like, no, you won the race. I'm like, but the polls just closed. And like, no, you won. Mathematically, there's no way for them to catch up. We won all 95 counties of Virginia. And that scares the heck out of Tim Kaine. So he's been attacking me ever since. And I always tell people, I said, Tim Kaine is a grifter. He has never won an election on his own. He just keeps getting pulled up along by the bootstraps. So Mark Warner helped him be the lieutenant governor, and then Mark Warner helped him be the governor afterwards. And in 2008, Barack Obama was going to pick Tim Kaine to be his running mate. But he was so terrible as the governor of Virginia, they'd pass him over for Joe Biden. I mean, I want that to sink in.
That's pretty
that you're
bad.
worse than Joe Biden, that they picked this crazy old guy over you. So then they put him as in timeout as the DNC chair, and then Barack Obama helped him be the senator from Virginia, and then in 2016 Hillary picked him, you know, because he's got a clean slate. You know, he didn't so, and plus, who wants to run with Hillary anyways? So
Yeah, exactly. And here's the other part of that. They were looking, I believe, at one of the Castro brothers. I think it was either Joaquin or Juan Castro that they were going to pick. That was going to be actually, I did a show on that at that time, and I said that's who they're going to pick. And then for some reason, they went with Tim Kaine, and then they trotted him out to speak Spanish, as if to say that we've hit our diversity quota, you know, for the campaign. It was pretty embarrassing, honestly.
So he's a poser, like as you said, he's a poser. And so I've always said, I said, Tim Kaine and I received the same government paycheck signed by the American taxpayers for 30 years. He has millions of dollars show for it, and I have scars. Who do you think fought for you? And so he came back yesterday crying, you know, oh my gosh, why does Hung Cao respect my service? I'm like, hold on. Are you trying to compare your years in an air-conditioned office where the biggest fear you have is a paper cut to me going to Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia and getting blown up and shot at? I mean, please tell me, Tim Kaine, that you didn't get hazardous duty pay for that. You know, this is the kind of guy that he's so out of touch and such. That's just privileged. You know, they keep calling us privilege, you know, white privilege or whatever. That's the most privileged thing I've ever heard in my life. It's insane.
Yeah. Not to mention, he's from Kansas. He's from Dorothy land. I mean, he's not a Virginianite. He's not from Virginia at all. But look, I hope you actually just crush him when you debate him with that one sentence alone, that one thing that you just said here on this show. I think that's a knockout punch, clearly. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, that's the main difference between the two of you, not to mention the fact that this is your adopted country and you love this country, you serve this country, you put your life on the line for this country. He's never done any of that. Like you said, air-conditioned office with paper cuts. So I really, really, really hope and pray to God that you wipe this guy out of the Senate, because we need somebody that would be, you know, similar to another Josh Hawley, you know, Ted Cruz, those types of people, Rand Paul, those types of folks that are not going to just go there and get along with the rhinos and the establishment. We need people that are actually going to change Washington instead of how Washington changed them. Let's talk about your book, Call Me an American. I love the title, and obviously I can understand pretty much why you did the title, because you don't want to be a hyphenated American. You want to say, I'm not a Vietnamese American, I'm an American. And so what did you learn about this journey of writing a book, which, by the way, I'm doing right now too. So it's funny that I ask people that question, and then at some point people are going to ask me that question. But what did you learn about yourself from writing the book?
Well, I have to be very, very honest with you right now, okay? I'm an engineer and physicist, and so my thought is very linear, and I like bullets, and I like graphs and charts. So my wife wrote it, and we, you know, she knows me, and so we were collaborating all the time, where she says, hey, how about I say this? And I was like, yeah, it just doesn't sound right, or this is what really happened. She's the best storyteller there is, and so I need to give credit to her. But Calling Me American, let me start also with, so I ran for Congress in 2022. I just come back from Afghanistan, and watching Afghanistan fall apart the way Vietnam did, I told my wife, I can't do this anymore. So we retired, and we ran for Congress in the 10th Congressional District of Virginia, which includes Loudoun County. You know, this is the infamous Loudoun County where the school board was attacking parents. And I didn't win the 10th district, but I moved the needle 13%. That's where Joe Biden won by 19 points, and I took it down to 6. And the lady I was going against, Jennifer Wexton, kept calling me everything from a threat to democracy. Again, the same lady who was thanking me for my service 6 months before that, to a extremist, which is code word for terrorist, and a white supremacist. You know, I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, well, she's white adjacent. So I said, listen, I bled for this country, and I have the right to be called an American. And so this book, the title is kind of a tribute to her stupidity, right? I mean, it's just like, come on, you keep calling a Vietnamese refugee an extremist, that someone who fought and bled for this country. And even Tim Kaine just recently called me a Nazi. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Wow. That is really sick. It's sad that politics has denigrated to this level of attacks and personal attacks and things like that. Look, we can go after people, we can go after their record, we can go after their votes, things like that. But again, to take the personal attacks like that, it's all they have left. Let's face it. Nobody wants leftism. Nobody wants their policies, which is why they always lie and they call it something that it's not, right? They call it the Affordable Care Act when it's not affordable. They call it the Inflation Reduction Act when it doesn't reduce inflation. They call it the Employee Free Choice Act when it's card check. I mean, all these different things, they use language. That's what communists do. They use language to hide their true and real intentions. So, look, I really hope that you win this race. I will say this right now, proudly here on jbushow.com. I 100% fully endorse you. I know that's not nearly as powerful as President Trump's endorsement, which of course you also have as well. But we are definitely behind you. We think that you'll be an excellent addition to the U.S. Senate and, quite frankly, a guardian of the U.S. Constitution. And that, in particular, is what we need to continue to elect. So thank you so much for being on the program. The guest is Hung Cao. The book is Call Me an American. Where can folks go to not only purchase the book, but also to donate to your campaign?
Oh, thank you for asking that. So the book is available on Amazon, and it's sold out. So they're ordering a new batch, and it should be out very, very soon. And go to hungforva.com. That's HUNGFORVA.com. Look, even if you can't vote for me, I can vote for you. My vote in the Senate will help, defend the Constitution, the same Constitution I fought for. So, I've been shot at, I've been blown up. There's nothing these liberals can do to me. But tell you what, I need ammunition. The only ammunition I can get is really money so that I can get ads, so I can, kind of quell some of their craziness when they call me all sorts of names. And so I'm asking for you guys to support me so I can fight for you.
Absolutely. And look, I'll say this point blank. That ad, which, by the way, I'm showing in the beginning of our introduction to you, even before you come on to the video here, I think it's an excellent ad. I think you should buy television time on the major networks if possible, and just run that ad because it is so dynamic. I mean, it really goes to show the measure of the man, who you are, what you've experienced, things of that nature. So God bless you. Keep fighting for the country. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck in this race.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Josh.
Thank you. God bless.
Hey, Josh Bernstein here, America's favorite bald badass. Did you know that Bill O'Reilly charges $6.95 a month to see his content? Or how about the Blaze TV, who charges $10 a month? Or you could always subscribe to the Ben Shapiro podcast at $12 a month. But if you are looking for the best value and the most hardest hitting news, you've come to the right spot. Because here at JoshBernsteinUncensored.com, we drop the most jaw-dropping stories 7 days a week, starting at only $3 a month. So please head on over to the new releases tab, become an exclusive member of the Badass Nation, and join the fight to save this country with one of America's most hated, feared, and censored conservative voices. Remember, if it's banned on social media, you'll find it here. God bless.